Former PNGDF Commander questions engagement of military contractors. Western Highlands Police undergo medicals for operations. And National Alliance Party announces exit from government.
This is National MTV News with Mary Bartolo.
Very good evening. Thank you for joining us for Tuesday's news. Former PNGDF Commander Jerry Singarok has joined a host of others questioning the engagement of private military contractors. The presence of 3 of their members in Port Moresby alarmed many residents after they were seen carrying assault rifles and sidearms. According to Police Commissioner Gary Bucky, he invited them to develop a training package for the RPNGC. However, Mr. Singarok says their rules of engagement have not been made clear and the timing is suspicious.
These are the pictures that fueled widespread concerns among Papua New Guineans on social media. Foreign private military contractors carrying assault weapons on the streets of Port Moresby. Papua New Guineans born before the 1990s had good reason to be alarmed. This is the second time that foreign contractors have been brought in by the national government or an arm of the government. After releasing a 3-page explanation late yesterday, Police Commissioner Gary Bucky followed up with a news conference explaining the presence of the armed men.
June, July, August last year, we've engaged in this firm, private security company in Australia, in the US, and we also looked at the capabilities that they can provide to the RPNGC. We invited them to come into Papua New Guinea in early February this year. They did a presentation which also includes other government departments in this conference room here, and they displayed to us the capabilities that they would be able to provide to the RPNGC.
Lawrence Aviation and Security Group is run by a group of ex-military and ex-law enforcement personnel. The PNG connection is through the company president, Peter Aliman, who was born in Bulolo, Morobe province in the 1960s to missionary parents and raised in the Hela province. Aliman is fluent in Tok Pisin and in at least one local Hela dialect. While the RPNGC has stated that Aliman has military background, web references make no mention of it. However, his missionary work in Papua New Guinea and Malawi feature prominently. Until yesterday, little was known publicly about the purpose of the company. Bucky says under the arrangement, 130 personnel from the police, Defence Force, Customs and Correctional Services will be trained in counter-terrorism methods.
What we're doing is we're doing observation, training, training assistance in terms of advice that is provided to our, particularly to our police officers on the ground here within NCD. We haven't sent them out to other parts of the country.
But just the engagement of the private contractor by the government triggered memories of 1997 when riots broke out in Port Moresby and other centres. This was followed by the expulsion of Sandline mercenaries brought in to quote, end the Bougainville War, unquote. Yesterday, the man who led the expulsion of the illegal force, retired Major General Jerry Singarok, said the rules of engagement for the contractors had to be clearly stated.
People who are not identified either with the police force or defense force is very suspicious, and it may warrant an investigation into the presence of such people. To my thinking and to my best of my knowledge, civilians or people who pose to be civilians in the possession of high-powered weapons must either report to some kind of chain of command.
This is police arrangements, and when they are deployed and if they come into contact with it, and if there's any issues arising out of that, then they bring it up. At this point in time, there's nothing. There's no issues about it. It's through the social media that people raise all the levels of what do you want to say, intimidation about it. There's nothing about it.
The PNG Defence Force, meanwhile, already has ongoing training with the US military and the Australian Defence Force in preparation for APEC 2018. And many see this arrangement as a duplication of the roles and one that could cost the government millions more in taxpayer spending. According to Police Commissioner, a final agreement has not yet been drafted. And while the contractors supposedly had authorization from Mr. Baki to conduct awareness in preparation for that contract, it is not clear if their rounds with NCD Police last week were legal or had written legal consent. Thakla Gunga, National, MTV News.
Former Prime Minister Semekere Morauta today said the Police Commissioner, Gary Baki, should immediately suspend the use of what he called foreign mercenaries. He has also called for an independent investigation to be conducted into all aspects of the deal. Semekere said the Ombudsman Commission should also investigate the arrangements, including the financial and legal arrangements. He pointed out that there are inconsistencies in Baki's statement and that of the NCD Metropolitan Superintendent, Ben Turi. More than 400 police personnel in Western Highlands Province and their civilian staff have undergone medical tests before going out for the election operations. Those who pass the test and are fit will be deployed to other provinces. Provincial Police Commander, Chief Superintendent Martin Lakari, says that this is to revive the promoting of health and fitness within the police force.
The police in Western Highlands Province have partnered with Mount Hagen General Hospital to provide voluntary medical checkup for the police and the civilian staffs. Every election they conduct medical tests to ensure its members are physically and mentally fit to go out on operations. The medical test includes blood check and other checks for sicknesses such as high blood pressure. Those who are fit will be selected for an intense physical training. These are the ones who will be deployed to districts and other provinces for election operation. And those who are not fit will remain in Western Highlands Province and do policing work. Police have seen this as a good opportunity as many of them never get routine medical checkups. A spokesperson told MTV News that they want to see a healthy team to go out on election operations. Vasinata Yama, National, MTV News, Mount Hagen.
Chief Secretary Isaac Lupari has announced that the second departmental heads meeting will be held in Keapara village in the Central Province on the 19th of May. The Chief Secretary said this is the first time a departmental heads meeting will be held in a village. Mr. Lupari said it was a deliberate decision to go rural because it will give the leaders an opportunity to see for themselves the challenges people go through every day. He said the leaders develop and design policies without understanding the challenges of the people, and as such, many of these policies have failed in the past. Mr. Lupari also said that by going rural, the heads of departments will be able to connect better with the people. National Alliance today has made their stand clear that they are no longer a coalition of the People's National Congress Party. This comes after party leader Patrick Pruich was removed as the treasurer by Prime Minister Peter O'Neill last week. Pruich has come out and said that his powers as treasurer were in fact removed last October.
At a news conference this morning, executives and parliamentary members of the National Alliance Party were joined by the Grand Chief Sir Michael Samara. Party president and candidate for Namatanai Open said they are no longer a partner in the ruling coalition.
On the weekend, National Alliance Party executive met in Kokopo to consider the decision made by the Prime Minister to sideline the National Alliance Party parliamentary leader as his minister. We, the National Alliance Party, accept the Prime Minister's decision to sideline the National Alliance parliamentary leader, and that decision to sideline our parliamentary leader has also now sidelined National Alliance Party from the PNC-led government. We thank the Prime Minister for his confidence in National Alliance Party as a coalition partner in his government. The time has come for National Alliance to move on.
Speaking out for the first time, party leader Patrick Proich claims his powers as a treasurer was removed in October last year by the Prime Minister in an action that was not made public.
As treasurer, I was virtually without powers. The Prime Minister withdrew all Section 32 and 33 powers from me since October last year. So I was just there to just manage the budget, and those powers held, which is illegal anyway. And this is not made known to the public.
Just before the issue of writs last month, the then Treasurer spoke against the government during the introduction of National Alliance candidates for the National General Election and reiterated his stance today.
In the interest of our country to know that since you withdraw the power, we have incurred the huge deficit budget last year. In fact, it was 3 billion over and above the expenditure that was captured in 2016 budget. That was worst ever for our country.
But Proich was questioned why he is coming out now, a few months before the formation of a new government.
Because being a treasurer, I need to protect the gains. I need to protect the economy. And that's why I stood with NA, fighting to make sure that PNC does not have its way in terms of heavily borrowing to fund programs that are not realistic. You spend so much money doing what most be as, and the rest of the country just turn a blind eye on.
Adelaide Xerox Kari National, MTV News.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill has welcomed the decision by the National Alliance Party to withdraw from the government in the lead-up to the elections. The Prime Minister said the decision was expected for some time, and if the National Alliance Party continued in government, it would have been hypocritical, considering recent outbursts by some of its members. Mr. O'Neill thanked the National Alliance for their support over the past 5 years and their commitment to the policies and economic decisions of government. The Prime Minister went on to say that while some candidates might be tempted to now attack the same policies they once passionately supported, the Prime Minister wishes them well over the elections in the coming weeks. Magnum Islanders living in the care centres are yet to get an update on the 10 million kina funding for their resettlement exercise. The money was promised to fund the resettlement exercise for at least 15,000 Magnum Islanders in Medang Province. Care Centre Manager Paul Maburao told MTV they have no knowledge of the status of the funding.
The 10 million kina was promised to fund the relocation of the Magnum Islanders living on the island and those living in the 3 care centers, Potsdam, Asurambu and Mangan care centers. They were supposed to be relocated to Underroom in the interior of Bogia district. About 10 hectares of customary land was made available by the traditional landowners.
Semi by tokol sem long ani lo 10 million kina mi play no ka sabe long sla 10 million kina. Where government promised long giving me plow line lo manam.
I may not in a position, but I would just say what the information that I received from the Provincial Management Unit and Ramu Development Foundation, RDF, just opposite the Holy Spirit High School there. I think there is a space that's been given to the management team. Those who will be living there to do their work up at the proposed site, which is Underroom. So far the headquarters have been established. And the work to begin, from what I heard from the RDF and the PMU, the Provincial Management Unit, is they are still waiting for the money. As soon as they receive the money, then they will start off with the work to get the road across to Underroom. And then from there, they will proceed on with what are other developments that will take place after the year.
Islanders say life on the mainland is very different from their way of life on the island. Here on the care center, they are forced to get water for cooking and washing from a dugout well. For drinking, they have to walk quite a distance to get fresh water from the mountain.
Finding water go long way through. Backside the mountain, plus water come down. Loya, sample mama mipla. Mipla tired too. Lo finding salt and salt. Now picking in it. Management belum pelal mama tu ino kot plato masloya. Manisi mal pekinini or you plasta pot.
An elder village chief told MTV they no longer want to live on the mainland following various conflicts that erupted between them and the landowners. Nathaniel Kuram said landowners had put a stop on them not to use their land to make gardens or the sea for fishing.
Mi plaksim divai long back mountain antapia. All papa ground lighting past Lomina or itosem. So was mi kisim divai all by Kotimi na mi give him 1,000 money na inogat and all karabusimi 6 months. All papa ground itosem.
The project is currently managed and coordinated by the Madang provincial government and the administration. This is done through the project management company, Ramu Development Foundation. The provincial government is working on key areas in setting the phase forward for the project. Mataluwis, National MTV News, Madang.
Here with National MTV News, when we come back, schools still facing shortage of TFF funds, voters warn candidates of empty promises, and polling areas relocated in North Wagi. The details after these messages. Welcome back to National MTV News. Schools are still facing delays and cuts in their tuition fee-free funds. Teachers from the Era Primary School say half of the budgeted 50,000 kina is yet to be paid by the government. Currently, the school is operating on only 700 kina.
A classroom lesson, teacher in front, students responding. They're part of the TFF policy. Georgina Simon is a grade 6 teacher. She says to effectively deliver her lessons, she has had to use her initiative and money from her pocket.
That the TFF materials is delaying, me using own paper. I use my own initiative to do the work by writing on the chart and putting the things up. So while waiting for the TFF materials, I see that it will take a long time for it to come. So in order for me to equip the students with the knowledge, I have to improvise and teach.
Era Primary School is located in the Huon Gulf district along the Markham Highway. With over 700 students, the teachers have had their work cut out for them. Head teacher Herman Agragum says they would have to make do with what they have.
We don't know when the money is coming, and we just, for operation and administration costs, with little money that we get, we try to ensure that we continue to maintain power. Because
the sentiments have been similar from different parts of the Morobe province. In the Warrior Valley of the Bulolo district, the Kasangare Primary School has received a quarter of what is budgeted to effectively run the school. Across the seas, the Sinigu Elementary School of the Morobe Patrol Post has had to rely on the donation of kind from teachers at a nearby primary school.
The learning of the students is very important, so they need to supply much amount of money to education by supplying the TFF materials quickly in order for the teachers to teach and equip the students well. Because
Harriet Gimbari, National MTV News, Leh.
The decision to relocate polling areas in the North Wagi district of Jiwaka province has not been welcomed by candidates contesting the North Wagi seat. They say the decision to change the polling areas was made without the consent of the provincial election manager, with consultation from the Electoral Commission.
In a letter to the Jiwaka provincial election manager, the 28 candidates stated they are totally disturbed and frustrated with the relocation of polling areas in the district. Frank Goy, a candidate himself, told MTV News that for some unknown reasons, most of the polling areas have been moved to the Single Rock PNGDF barracks. He said the original polling areas did not pose any threat to the election, and the returning officer of the district went ahead without consulting the provincial election manager and the provincial police commander to relocate over 9 polling areas to the army barracks.
He went ahead and did that list by himself. And when we had a meeting, the election manager said she doesn't know or have any idea about this, but she just saw the list only, made by the Haro.
He said the relocation of the polling booths will now make it difficult for people to cast their votes.
We don't see any reason why we can move that 9 boxes to the single barracks. Is the electoral commissioner in Jiwaka is going to provide a car or transport to carry all these people from far away to that place? That's the question. He should use his mind. And there is not a threat in that polling places. It's a peaceful place.
Mr. Goy said the 28 candidates, excluding sitting MP Dr. Fabian Pock, will petition the Electoral Commission to review the decision made by the district returning officers. He said the people of North Wagi deserve a free and fair election.
The thing is, we lose the trust of the returning officers and assistant returning officer. He is compromising his job and his position. So we, the 28 candidates from North Wagi electorate, the returning candidates, we are asking the electoral commissioner to immediately terminate or sack the RO and the AROs of North Wagi.
Stanley Ove Jr., National MTV News.
Kagua Erave sitting MP James Laguerre is calling on the Electoral Commissioner to investigate 4 electoral officers from his electorate allegedly flown into Port Moresby by a particular candidate. He claimed that their coming to Port Moresby during the eve of the election is suspicious whilst siding with the candidate. Mr. Laguerre advised the Commissioner of Electoral Commission to terminate the officials and disqualify the candidate immediately.
There has been an instance of foul play on the part of a particular candidate and the returning officer along with 4 of his assistant returning officers. Why did that particular candidate pay for the tickets for the returning officer and the assistant returning officers for Kagua for this case? If the Electoral Commission had no money to pay for the tickets, then why didn't it say so? In the case that I have records and I have printouts of tickets here with ticket numbers, the particular tickets that were bought at the Port Moresby International Sales Office at the airport to verify and to clarify that a particular candidate has bought the tickets. And it is not a cash payment where somebody would just pose as another person and go and purchase the ticket. In this case, he used his credit card numbers and his particular name on the ticket part, and they specified that a particular candidate had bought the tickets for the returning officer and returning officers of my electorate.
Manus Acting Provincial Police Commander David Yapu has been promoted from Senior Inspector to Chief Inspector rank. Police Commissioner Gary Baki promoted Yapu using powers of the Police Commissioner. Yapu was also confirmed as Manus PPC.
The promotion came as a surprise for the acting PPC. It also confirms Yapu as the Manus Police Commander.
I was being promoted by the Commissioner to be the Chief Inspector. I was surprised, despite, the promotions. The other officers were promoted to the next level. I continued my work as a PPC. Despite, promotion. But I did try my best. To perform as a PPC in my administrative and operational duties as a PPC.
Chief Inspector Yapu comes from CRC in the Morobe province and spent most of his police career in his New Britain province.
The staff officer for PPC is New Britain. Up until there was a officer's transfer.
He was appointed as acting Manus PPC in December 2015, following a directive from the Commissioner's office. Due to accommodation shortages, Yapu's wife and children are still living in his New Britain.
I'm not new to the position of PPC, been working closely in PPC's office as a staff officer, PPC is New Britain, for almost 4 years.
Yapu has over 120 regular police personnel working under his supervision. Since taking up the post, Yapu, through the Police College, has conducted 5 basic trainings for his officers and has also involved members of the PNG Defence Force in conducting security operations in both the province and at the national level. Tekla Gunga, National, MTV News.
Female inmates at the Bomana jail recently received support to enhance the rehabilitation program. Manufacturer Vitis Industries presented 4 burner gas stoves, sewing machines and sewing materials to the 37 female inmates. The Bomana Women's Wing Senior Inspector Agnes Kungil said the items will be used for the women's rehabilitation program. Vitis Industries Managing Director Vicky Mossin hopes women will acquire new skill sets that will help them once they are released from prison. Mrs. Mossin said through this community outreach program, the organization can contribute to the removal of stigma that is at times associated with mothers within the correctional facility. Students attaining certificates and diplomas from recognized private institutions are a stepping stone to enhance their future career. This was the message from MAPEX Training Institute Chief Executive Director Marcos Cara during the institution's 9th graduation ceremony recently. Eric Harupma with this report.
MAPEX Training Institute graduated 536 students last Friday in various certificates and diploma programs at sports in Port Moresby. The entrants were led by the famous Manus dancers. Many of the invited guests, like NCD Governor Boris Pakop, did not turn up due to elections. But the presence of parents, relatives, friends and MTI staff was exceptional. Principal Marcos Cara urged students to reach their goals and dreams by working harder.
As graduating students, today you have finished something. Sometimes I think it is unique that in each endeavor in your academic lives, you learn and grow and achieve highest level possible in the institution, and then you are graduating now. Today, you are graduating with colors. And this year, or for many of you, will be studying at those every level jobs that will be.
He added that this is a stepping stone to pursue their career in life. The students graduated in computing, information technology, business management, human resource management, and safety management. Paralegal studies, flight attendant, and technical courses like supply chain management, ports and shipping, commercial cookery were among others.
And some province and the others are also going to come in the next intake. So if you would have put everybody together, we will be well over 1,500. That's a very huge number. We have actually made an impact with a number of our very unique courses, which we have got a lot of students in for.
Awards were given to top students in each field of study. Eric Arupma, National MTV News.
Following 8 years of negotiations, the Pacific Agreement on Closer Economic Relations, or PESA Plus, discussions drew to a close last month without 2 of the largest Pacific economies, Papua New Guinea and Fiji. This agreement aims to balance trade and development goals across the region. MTV spoke exclusively with Australian Minister for International Development and the Pacific about further bilateral trade between Australia and PNG.
Negotiations for the PESA Plus deal concluded last month in Brisbane between Australia and New Zealand and 12 Pacific Island countries. Papua New Guinea and Fiji, obviously missing from the deal, cited skepticism over the agreement's economic benefit to the countries. Despite this, Australian Minister for International Development and the Pacific has said that trade and partnership will continue between both countries.
We're very pleased that PESA Plus and the negotiations for PESA Plus have been concluded and the agreement will be signed in Tonga next month. The negotiations were quite long and protracted, but we believe that there will be long-term benefits for Pacific Island countries, particularly in terms of increasing their biodiversity and their ability to comply with biodiversity requirements into countries, particularly into Australia and New Zealand, and of course that then has positive implications for their exports to other parts of the world. So we're looking forward to working with countries, with the countries of the Pacific that have been signatories to the PACER Plus agreement. Of course, the door is opened for the future for Papua New Guinea and Fiji, for that matter, if they do want to join the process. And we respect their decisions, but we're looking forward to implementing the PACER Plus agreement.
The government of the day has since said it would prefer bilateral deals with Australia and New Zealand that would be more suitable for the country. But the Australian government has stated that PACER Plus is the pathway for any agreement between the two countries. Leanne Jarari, National MTV News.
With the aim to strengthen and facilitate bilateral trade between both countries, Papua New Guinean businesses, including SMEs, were significantly promoted at the 33rd Australian PNG Business Forum and Trade Expo. Businesses displayed their goods and services at the two-day expo, which wrapped up tonight at the Stanley Hotel. Amongst these were SMEs under the FARMA umbrella. FARMA stands for the Pacific Horticultural and Agricultural Market Access Program.
I would like to say thank you very much for having this here, the 33rd Australia PNG Business Forum at the Stanley Hotel. This has really helped Maxton House, and what it has done for us is we're now when someone says to me, what company are you from? I say Maxton House. They'll turn around to me, and I'm getting, oh, I know Maxton House. I just bought your oil. So to me, they're not buying coconut oil, they're buying Maxton House. Maxton House is only in PNG, so this has cemented that because people are coming to look for Maxton House. So thank you, Pharma, for having this booth for us, and Coconut Industry Corporation and the Australian PNG Business Council for holding this for us, and MTV.
It's a good opportunity where we're so thankful to Pharma, which had helped us to come out and expose our products here, because without them we wouldn't be out here. And also it has helped us to meet other people, like from the top level of work-wise, and people that are around the world that have come here, and they now know this thing that we tapa. They heard about it, but they don't know how it has been made into this. So now they know, and they've shown interest about these things, and also to know where Hopondata is located too as well.
And now a look at the finance news. The kina closed unchanged at $0.3145 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.307 US, $0.4113 Australian dollars, $0.277 euro, and 34.59 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold and cocoa closed higher, while coffee and copper closed the day lower. Palm oil, crude oil, and copper closed the day higher. And on the stock markets, the Dow Jones closed 85 points higher, the ASX closed 12 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed 13 points lower. Ahead on National MTV News, the government issues warning on the global cyber attack and the latest from abroad. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. The Papua New Guinea government is warning business houses, system operators and the general public to take measures to protect their computer systems and other devices. This is amidst the recent global cyber attack that has hit 300,000 victims in 15 countries. Acting Secretary for the Department of Communication and Information, Paulius Koni, said the department, together with NICTA, have commenced work on developing the National Cybersecurity Strategy.
The virus, a ransomware known as WannaCrypt or WannaCry, has caused computers around the world to encrypt files, lock up files on computers, and demand payment to regain access. Computer security experts in Hong Kong are warning against making payments because there is no guarantee that the hackers will unlock the files. This is also to stop encouraging them. Mr. Koni said with support from the International Telecommunication Union, NICTA and the Department of Communication and Information are working on a national cybersecurity strategy that should pave way for a nationally coordinated approach in responding to such attacks. Researchers have advised users to be more careful when opening their personal computers and not to open emails, links or attachments that look suspicious, and to further refrain from sending chain emails. They have also advised users to make backups of important files using virus-free flash drives or external hard drives. Delhi Waigeno, National, MTV News.
Meanwhile, investigators looking into the global cyber attack on the weekend have a new lead. They say the trail of clues could lead to North Korea, with the ransomware code posing similarities to the code used by the North in an attack on banks last year.
Security researchers tracking the attack tonight say the trail could lead to North Korea, that the computer code that produced the so-called WannaCry attack with these ominous messages appears to have similarities to the code used by North Korea in an attack on international banks last year. It could be someone else using the North Korean code, researchers say, but the country has a long record of computer criminality.
We've seen them steal money, we've seen them steal information, we've seen them destroy information.
There's still no official attribution of who was behind the massive attacks. But as of tonight, the tally of targets has grown, more than 300,000 in 150 countries. Auto plants, offices, railroads around the world, and FedEx in the U.S. were all hit. The most devastating, hospitals in Great Britain, where ambulances were turned away, cancer treatments and surgeries canceled.
Horrible. Cried a lot. Didn't really know what to say.
Only a few hundred companies appear to have followed the hackers' directions to pay $300 in ransom or more to have their files freed. And that, too, turned out to be a scam.
It appears that less than $70,000 has been paid in ransoms, and we are not aware if payments have led to any data recovery.
The United States has accused the Syrian government of mass killings in a military prison just outside the capital, Damascus. They say the Assad regime is burning bodies at a crematory to hide up to 50 hangings a day.
New horrors revealed in these satellite images, a secret crematorium believed constructed in the notorious Sednaya prison, where as many as 50 people killed every day. Look at the nearby buildings. A white blanket of snow covers them, but the roof of this building, with the intense heat from within, snow-free. That is where the State Department believes bodies are burned to hide evidence of an estimated 5,000 to 15,000 political killings.
The building of a crematorium is an effort to cover up the extent of mass murders taking place in Sednaya prison.
The evidence of the crematorium is circumstantial. No images exist from inside, but Amnesty International has recreated the prison itself based on interviews with those who managed to survive. As we arrive, says this man, every guard grabbed a detainee and started beating him. The U.S. blames Assad for the crematorium, but says Russia and Iran have played a part for supporting the regime, a regime the U.S. attacked last month after evidence emerged it used chemical weapons to attack civilians.
A public health emergency is unfolding on a remote island in Australia after it was found 1 in 10 children was sniffing aviation fuel, some of them to be believed to be as young as 6.
An almost nightly ritual in Galawinku. Young people sneaking into the aerodrome, climbing onto charter planes and siphoning aviation fuel from the wings.
This is a public health emergency. We're talking about a high number of children with high blood lead levels.
At least 100 young people on Elcho Island, Gapawiak and Milingimbi have been sniffing the volatile substance. Some are just 7 years old. 10 of them have been hospitalised in Darwin.
Some of our kids are ending up at the hospital by getting infected by those chemicals, which is bad for them and for their health as well.
Avgas contains lead, a dangerous substance known to cause lifelong physical and behavioural effects. National health guidelines require investigations of blood lead levels higher than 5 micrograms per decilitre. These Avgas sniffers have levels up to 10 times that amount.
We're seeing levels that are almost unprecedented in current society.
Galawinku here on Elcho Island is a place of natural beauty, but community leaders fear they'll be left with a generation of young people affected by lead poisoning.
They are the future generations, so we don't want these things to be happening in this community.
To keep kids engaged, local leaders want more recreational programs and extra community workers to deliver health messages.
If they keep sniffing over time, they'll end up in a graveyard.
A blunt message to keep young people away from avgas.
Here with National MTV News. Up next, some sporting updates in Trukai Sports. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Sports Minister Justin Chichenko today made it clear that no funds were given to Tonga as yet, following Tonga's withdrawal as host nation of the 2019 Pacific Games. The PNG government assured Tonga of their assistance in funds and manpower, but with a recent withdrawal, this commitment will not follow through.
The PNG government assured Tonga of their assistance to help prepare for the 2019 Pacific Games. Sports Minister Justin Chichenko confirmed today no funds were given to Tonga.
We had not paid them any funding whatsoever. We have offered them assistance through our own personal staff to go to Tonga and train their staff in that regard. But when it came to financial assistance, nothing had been delivered or committed yet.
Chichenko said after their visit to Tonga 2 years ago, the PNG government was still skeptical about Tonga's ability to host the Pacific Games. There was no confirmed amount committed to Tonga as assessments were still ongoing.
No commitment was made. It was more of an information paper. That information paper had that the cost to upgrade their national stadium and the high performance centre there was about 45 million kina. And we, as a government, we said that sort of funding, we do not have the resources to help our country in that regard when we have our own issues here on the ground.
PNG will not bid and is not committed to hosting the Games in 2019. The Pacific Games Council will have to work out their next plan of action. Chichenko says PNG will not bid for anything as yet, but if approached by the Pacific Games Council, it will all depend on the new government.
We can't commit the country to any such Pacific Games until after the new government is formed. So we want to make it very clear, Papua New Guinea will not be bidding and will not be committing to the 2019 Games. Whatever the new government sees, or that's up to that new government.
Chichenko says the Pacific Games Council must choose countries that will be able to host such an event.
They must look, have they got the necessary facilities available to host the Pacific Games? Have they got the economic, financial power to back up and support our Pacific Games? It's not just give it to some friends and hope for the best.
Meanwhile, the Pacific Games Council is reported to be unaware of the withdrawal of Tonga as host. They are yet to receive a formal letter from the Tongan government to explain their reason for pulling out. Elijah Levet, National MTV Sports.
To athletics, female sprinter Afure Ada was in great form last weekend at the Northern Sun Intercollege Conference Championships at Concordia University in St. Paul's in Minnesota, USA. Ada won the 100-meter and placed second in the 200 meters for her state team. After experiencing windy conditions in most of her outdoor races so far this season, Ada found the weather ideal and was able to set very good personal best times of 11.77 seconds in the 100 meters and 24.15 seconds in the 200s. The 21-year-old is now focusing on next week's NCAA Division II National Championships in Bradenton, Florida, where she will meet up with other PNG athletes. To football, the venues, dates and kickoff times for the final set of Group A and B matches in 2018 FIFA World Cup Russia qualifiers, OFC Stage 3, has been confirmed. All eyes will now be on the Group B showdown between Papua New Guinea and Solomon Islands, as both sides remain in the running to top the group and set up a tantalizing Stage 3 final against New Zealand.
Cup final since 2004.
The first match will be held at the hallowed grounds of Los Antamas Stadium in Honiara. The encounter is scheduled for 9th June with kickoff set for 3 p.m. And there is no doubt that fans in Honiara will come in their numbers. The supporters side that almost always delivers on home soil. Papua New Guinea will then host the Bonitas of Solomon Islands for the return match at the PNG Football Stadium in Port Moresby. The game, scheduled for 13th June with 3 p.m. kickoff, will be the first senior men's international to be played at the stadium, which was purposely built for last year's FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup. In Group A, neither Fiji nor New Caledonia has a chance of catching up to Group A leaders New Zealand in their final 2 matches.
Fixture 4 years ago in Honiara.
However, both sides will be determined to get the better of their opponent, for bragging rights at least, when they take to the field on 7th June in Fiji and again in Naumea on 11th June. Shane Saroya, National MTV Sports.
Trukai Sports continues after these messages. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. In efforts to raise funds to compete in the Jiwaka bodybuilding competition due on the 29th of this month, the NCD Bodybuilding Association, with assistance of Goodman Fielder and the Royal Papua Yacht Club Gymnasium, have come up with a fun challenge to raise money. Come this Friday, a number of NCD bodybuilders will be bench pressing 10 kilogram scale rice bags. For every bag they leg press successfully, a 10 kina will be awarded. And these bodybuilders are expected to leg press up to 500 kilograms of 10 kg scale rice bags down at the PYC gym. Other additional incentives will also be given to the NCD team to assist with the participation in the Jiwaka weightlifting competition, courtesy of our good friends at Goodman Fielders. And that ends Trukai Sports. Up next, your weather details for the next 24 hours.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
Here's a quick look at the weather. In the southern region, Port Moresby and Daru, partly cloudy, a shower or 2 in Kerma, morning showers in Alotau tomorrow, and cloudy with some showers in Popondetta. To the Momasa region, cloudy with showers for Ley and Wau, a shower or 2 for Madang and Wewak, mostly fine in Vanimo. To the New Guinea Islands region, cloudy with some showers for Lorengau and Buka, partly cloudy for Kavieng, Kokopo, Rabaul and Kimbe. And in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabeg, all these major centres can expect some morning fog. And that ends National MTV News for today, Tuesday the 16th of May 2017. From the news team, pleasant viewing. Good night.